Hello again, dark readers. Welcome back to the Dark Spine, your corner of the book world for the unsettling, the emotionally fraught, and the beautifully twisted. My name is Sarah. Today we're talking about Powerless by Lauren Roberts. Now, I'll be honest with you, this one caught me off guard, and I mean that in the best possible way. I picked it up expecting a familiar type of romantasy, maybe something heavy on tropes, light on nuance, but instead I found something sharper, grittier, surprisingly thoughtful, and it stayed with me longer than I expected. So let's dive in. Powerless is set in a kingdom where power is everything, quite literally. Those with abilities, called the elites, are at the top of the social ladder. They can control fire, water, metal, air. It's not just magic, it's identity, it's status, it's safety. And then there's everyone else, the ordinaries, powerless, voiceless, hunted. Our main character, Paedyn, is an ordinary, but she spent years pretending otherwise. She hides in plain sight amongst the elites, surviving by her wits, her lies, and a blade tucked up her sleeve. She's not reckless, she's desperate, and in this world, being found out means death, or worse. There's a Hunger Games style trial that looms over the kingdom each year. It's part spectacle, part punishment, part propaganda, and wouldn't you know it, Paedyn, through a twist of fate, gets drawn into it. Now, before we go any further, let's talk about Paedyn. She's not your typical romantasy protagonist. She doesn't have a secret lineage or a dormant power waiting to awaken. She has no prophecy attached to her. What she has is a haunted past, a survivor's instincts, and a lot of moral grey. She steals, she lies, she manipulates people when she needs to, but it's never careless. Her decisions are always calculated. She's not out to be a hero, she just wants to live, and that's what makes her compelling and so likeable. There's a lot of discussion in romantasy about strong female characters, but strength isn't always loud. Sometimes it's just the will to keep going. Paedyn is a perfect example of that quieter resilience. She's scared, she's angry, she's tired, and she keeps going anyway. Enter Kai. He's an elite. He's also the enforcer. Essentially, the Crown Prince's right hand. Think soldier, strategist, silent observer. At first, he seems like your standard love interest archetype. Cold, unreadable, intimidating. But the more time you spend with him, the more that surface starts to crack. And this is where the book really shines. Because Powerless isn't just about love, it's about trust, mistrust, control, power dynamics, how two people on opposite ends of a brutal system can be drawn to each other without pretending the system doesn't exist. Kai is watching Paedyn closely, and she knows it. Their entire relationship begins under a shroud of suspicion. There's tension, obviously, delicious tension, but it's never simple. They're each other's threats as much as they are each other's comfort, and that makes every interaction feel electric. The romance simmers rather than explodes. It's slow, it's fraught. You're not always sure whether they'll kiss or kill each other, and I appreciate that, because real chemistry, especially in these kinds of brutal settings, come from friction, not fantasy. The only thing I would say is parts of it feel a bit like a why choose. Paedyn spends a lot of time with Kai and with Kai's brother, and Kai's brother kind of likes Paedyn, and she's a little bit flirty, but I promise you, it is not a why choose. I don't like why choose. It is not one of those, but there's a little bit of that in there. But it's definitely not why choose. Now, let's circle back to the trials. Without spoiling too much, they're not just physical tests, they're psychological, designed to expose weaknesses, to fracture alliances, to entertain the ruling class, yeah, but also to remind the lower classes where they stand. The games are full of layered characters, allies, enemies, people you think are allies until they're not. There's a whole cast of competitors with their own motives and secrets, and no one is safe, not even Kai. That unpredictability is one of the book's strengths. One character I want to highlight is Alora, a fellow competitor in the trials who starts off seeming harmless but quickly reveals deeper shades. She's calculating, she's ambitious and morally flexible, and yet you get her. In another life, she and Paedyn might have been friends, maybe even sisters. That's a recurring theme in Powerless, this sense that the system has created monsters out of necessity, that the people who survive are the ones who learn to bend their morals without breaking entirely. Lauren Roberts has a definite talent for tension. Not just romantic or action-based, but existential tension. The kind that sits just under the surface of every scene. You can feel it in the silence between the lines of dialogue, in the way characters hold back what they really want to say. And the writing is clean, confident, not overly flowery, but still lyrical in the right places. There's a restraint to it that I respect, a refusal to over-explain or soften the edges. World building wise, it's tight. We don't get sprawling maps or 10 pages of history, and honestly, that works. Roberts knows how to make a world feel lived in without bogging the reader down. You feel the class divide in every interaction. You see how power corrupts, but also how it tempts, and you understand why people make the choices they do, even the terrible ones. So let's talk themes. Yes, there's romance. Yes, there's action, but Powerless is really about survival, about identity, about the cost of pretending to be someone else just to stay alive. There's a scene midway through, no spoilers, but it involves Paedyn finally being seen, truly seen by someone who could destroy her. And instead of it being a triumphant moment, it's terrifying. Vulnerability in this world is a liability, and Roberts never lets you forget it. The book also explores the idea of complicity. Who benefits from the system? Who enables it? And what does resistance look like when open rebellion means certain death? There are no easy answers, and that's what I love. Now, the ending. No spoilers, of course, but I thought I had a grip on where things were going. I was completely wrong. The twist comes quietly. There's no grand reveal, no dramatic monologue, just a shift, a fracture, and it hurts. It's the kind of ending that doesn't scream, it just settles in your chest. It makes you rethink earlier chapters. It forces you to reevaluate certain characters, and that's good storytelling. And it sets up the sequel brilliantly. I cannot wait to read the next book without hesitation. So, who is Powerless for? If you want escapism without simplicity, if you like your fantasy with grit, your romance with tension, and your characters morally grey and emotionally bruised, this is the book for you. It's not a book that coddles, it doesn't offer neat answers or tidy arcs, but it feels honest, and sometimes that's more satisfying than anything else. I gave it 4.5 stars on Fable, maybe even edging toward 5 depending on how the sequel delivers. But have you read Powerless? What did you think of the ending? Did you trust Kai? And what are your theories going into book 2? Drop a comment below. I genuinely love to hear your thoughts, especially on that ending, because it was shocking. And if you're enjoying these quiet dives into dark fiction, it would be lovely if you would hit that subscribe button and join me next time on The Dark Spine. I've got some equally unsettling reads coming your way soon. Until then, read widely, think sharply, and don't be afraid of the dark.